day, everybody. It's Percy Hampton with Handy Electrician. I'm here in East Point. We got an electrical inspection. Some of the outlets are showing ungrounded, even though it has a ground wire and a ground terminal block. So I want to show you some things in the panel, right? So this is a 200 amp electrical panel. This is the power feed coming in. Each one of those are your hot legs. That white is it means you're neutral. This copper aluminum is your ground. And that aluminum lug is tied to a ground bar with all the ground wires from all the branch circuits tied into that ground bar. One thing I do want to show you off the record, these wires, they should be protected. So if it was me, I would have a carpenter build something around it so nobody can damage the wires. The wiring should not be, the Romex wire is damageable. It can damage. So you want to, it usually is in the wall, but because it's out the wall, I will have a carpenter build something around it so that nobody would damage my wires. But back to what we were talking about, ungrounded outlets. So let me show you this. This is a receptacle tester. If it has one orange light, that means that the receptacle is ungrounded. If it has two, that means it has a good ground. Let me show you. Okay, so this receptacle right here is tied to the alarm system. I can tell that because this is a transformer. This is a step down transformer. It takes 120 volts, drops it down to 12 to 16 volts for the security alarm. All right, so back to what I was talking about. We're gonna plug this in. You get one light. So that shows me that this plug is ungrounded. If it had two lights, that would mean it's grounded. But that tells me that it's on old wiring because all the wiring coming in the panel is new Romex with a ground. So that tells me that it's a junction box somewhere under the house where they ran the new wire to and then connected to the old wire. So if they wanted this to be truly grounded, they can rewire it or they can grandfather it in with an arc fault breaker. Let me show you another plug that has a ground in the same vicinity. This is about a bathroom GFCI. GFCI stands for ground fault circuit interrupter, and we are getting two lights on there. Let me show you. You can see two lights. That means that it's properly grounded. So that tells me that when they did the remodel, they didn't rewire the whole house. Some of the outlets are still on the old 2-wire system. Let me show you another outlet that's on a 2-wire system. In the same hallway, it's the GFI, which stands for ground fault circuit interrupter, and we got one light. So what I'll do is go through the house and find out which circuits are truly grounded and which circuits are not grounded. Either we can put an arc fault breaker on it, or we can rewire the whole line, the whole branch circuit. So this is a combination arc fault breaker. This is what I would put in on the circuits that's not showing the ground, and it would grandfather it in. We have a GE panel, so you got to use a GE breaker. Anytime you have one light on the receptacle tester, that means you don't have a ground. So instead of rewiring it, pulling up, open the wall, and in this case it's wood, I would just put an arc fault breaker on it to say, and it'll grandfather in the wiring. And this would act as a true ground. So I'm gonna go through and check all the outlets, see which ones are ungrounded, and we'll find out the circuits, and we can put an arc fault breaker on it. I got a white suit. If I have to go into the house, I will, but I can do everything from up top with my electrical testing. These are good to have. So this shows one orange light means that it's an open ground. So I will put an arc fault breaker on this circuit just to cover it. So I'm gonna give them a quote when it's all said and done on how much it'll be to have it grounded, and I'll just shoot them a quote for that. It'll be a lot easier and cost effective than rewiring it. So, but still, if it's the old 2-wire, I would get rid of it anyway if I could, because that stuff's over 60 to 80 years old. So this whole back room is ungrounded. So I will put this on an arc fault breaker, a combination arc fault breaker. That way they wouldn't have to reroute everything. Another thing you can do is you can find the head of the circuit and put a GFCI, ground fault circuit interrupter, at the beginning of it, run the power in the line side, and put all the other outlets on the load side. And that way it'll be GFCI protected, which takes the place of a ground. Percy Hampton, Handy Electrician. Alright, so we're in the kitchen. They have a true ground in the kitchen. The only thing I don't like about the kitchen, I always put my grounds down. That's a ground wire. I always put it at the bottom. That's just my personal preference. But it is grounded. It shows 2 orange lights. We just checking the whole house, finding out which circuits are ungrounded and which circuits are not. And then we can give them a quote to install the arc fault breaker over rewiring. If they want it rewired, we'll rewire it. It's a lot more expensive than just popping in an arc fault breaker on the brake circuit covering it. So these 2 circuits are grounded. They got like a one of these surge protectors plugged in. It's got two grounds, so that's good there. We're just gonna go through the whole house and make sure the outlets are grounded properly so that we can give them an accurate quote on what needs to be a second level of protection, meaning that combination arc fault breaker. Let's go. It's showing 3 lights. I think this GFI is bad. Yeah, this GFI is bad. It's showing 3 lights. We can put that on the, when I do an inspection report, I also do a repair list. And when I see 3 lights on the GFI, that just tells me that GFI needs to be replaced. Something going on with it internally. But that's interesting. 3 lights. Anytime I see a lot of GFCIs, that means that the house is ungrounded, and you can either put GFCIs or you can put arc fault breakers in to just grandfather your house in for a ground, to having a ground. Because if you don't have a ground, then you got to use 2-prong outlets. And most cords, lamps, it requires 3 prongs. So if you're ever in an ungrounded house and you want to put 3-prong outlets in, you can put in these GFCIs or combination arc fault breakers, and then you can change the 2-prong plugs out to 3-prong. Let's see what we got. 1 light, no ground. Anytime I see a whole lot of GFIs, I'm like, oh, this is an old house. It's ungrounded. That's what we did back in the day to grandfather it in. And in your new houses, you got an outlet basically on every wall so that you can plug in any appliance. Most appliances have a 3 to 6 foot cord. So we like to have outlets every 6 feet in the newer houses so that you can plug up an appliance and the cord will plug into it no matter where it is. So this room is ungrounded. 1 light on the GFI. And also, just because you have a GFCI doesn't mean that you're going to get 2 lights. If you don't have that ground wire connected, you're only going to get 1 light. If it's not, even if it's a GFI, it's grandfathered in, but you still will not get 2 lights. So don't let the lights be such a big deal. But if you got an old house, instead of rewiring it, it's a lot cheaper to use an combination arc fault breaker or GFCI. But you will not get the 2 lights. It will still not show grounded, but it's understood that you have the proper protection on there, so it's grandfathered in as a ground. Checked all these rooms in the back. This is a nice little cottage. So when they did the remodel, they didn't totally rewire the house.
No.
They didn't. They took some shortcuts. They made it look like they rewired it from the panel, but I guarantee under the house got several junction boxes, ungrounded. But it has a GFI in it, so it's acceptable. Like, a lot of home inspectors may or may not know that when they put a GFCI in it, that's covering the ground. So when I see, man, it's probably 10 GFCIs in here, and usually your GFCI should be within 6 feet of water. Your kitchens, your bathrooms, your front porch, your back porch, your garage. So when I see them all in the living spaces, that means the house is ungrounded. Stick tester. This is my stick tester. I like to just go by and make sure everything is getting power, because we do have a room that's not getting power. Sometime a breaker could be bad.
Unknown caller.
Red means it's getting power. Yeah, so everything looks like it's getting power.
Unknown caller.
Alright, let's go outside. So this is the front porch GFI. I'm not getting any power to it. the reset button is not tripping. Either it's not getting power or it's a bad GSCI. Put all that on my report. So this right here is called your meter socket. This is Georgia Power. This is how they read how much power you're using. They can read it probably from back at headquarters. They used to come out and read it. This is the mask. Has to be strapped. That little head up there, that's called the weather head. And then these wires coming out are your SCR cables. Where that black connector is, from their back is Georgia Power's. From here, from this connector down, is the owner's, with the exception of this meter socket. And this is your disconnect. The code says that you should be able to disconnect the power to the house. Like if you have firefighters, it's a fire in your house and they want to kill power to it, they should be able to do it from outside of your house. It's a 200 amp main. Kill the power from here, and that should kill the power. So this is your ground wire. So it's showing me that you got ground rods. It's got a true ground. This is a number 6 bare copper ground going to a ground rod. Now the new code says you got to have 2 ground rods within 6 to 10 feet away from each other. But it does have a true ground. Georgia Power doesn't give you a ground. Georgia Power gives you 2 hots and a neutral. You have to get your own ground by running a 10-foot ground rod, 10 feet in the ground, so you get your own ground. So it does have a ground, so I don't know why those circuits are showing ungrounded. I'm probably gonna have to go in the crawl space under the house, put on one of these white suits, and kind of go down there and do some physical inspection. Percy Hampton, handy electrician. So man, we just did the electrical inspection. Electrical inspection, one of the easiest things in the world, because I've been doing this for 25 years. I've been checking out the meter sockets, the panels, the outlets, the switches. It's easy money. The hardest part is just putting the report together. And even in the report, I can put an estimate in there to repair all the the issues that's going on. So I love electrical inspections, man. They in and out real easy. I'm an expert. I've been doing it for a long time, so I know what to look for, know what to tell them, and I know what to repair and make people's lives happier. But man, I love these electrical inspections and service calls. Are my easiest money makers, because it's what I do already. Percy Hampton, handy electrician.